City Thunder. This podcast is ran by Jacob, Nick, Justin, Taylor, and Kamiar. Listen to future episodes on your favorite podcast streaming service like iTunes or Spotify. And don't forget to leave a 5-star rating.
This is Ludor. You're listening to the Uncontested.
What is up? Welcome to the Uncontested podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, the official podcast of BoomtownHoops.com, and coming to you live Super Bowl Sunday, 2 p.m. We switched up our time on you guys. Sorry about that.
Matinee action.
We figured everyone would be watching the Super Bowl this evening, so we decided to go live a little bit earlier today. So we are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I think that's it. I think that's the only places we're live at. We might be streaming live on like the Chinese Communist Party's.
Did you say Periscope?
Periscope. Or, yeah, we're on Periscope.
This is thrilling.
Yeah, It's great stuff. If you are watching live, all 10 of you so far, thank you. It's good to see you guys. If you are listening to the podcast version of this form, man, we appreciate you. Go drop a 5-star rating while you're listening. That would mean a lot to us. Would help a lot of people see the podcast. Help us become rich and famous, quit our day jobs, and just podcast all day for a living. So all you got to do is drop a 5-star rating, man.
That's all.
That's all it takes.
That easy.
It's all it takes. So I am your host for the day, Jacob Niffen. I have Justin Peabody along with me.
Hello, everybody.
We also have Kamiar Marabian in the chat.
I just checked my phone, and its battery charge is at 69%. So that's what I've been laughing about for the past minute.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yep.
It's a good
we were
Sunday
supposed to have Taylor Peterson along for the podcast, but he is in the grocery store on Super Bowl Sunday.
What a dummy.
Probably getting wildly infected with COVID.
Everybody should go text this number. It's Taylor's number.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding, but maybe at the end of the podcast.
1-405 9115.
Didn't I put your number on Twitter the other day?
Yes, you did, you bastard.
I did. Nobody texted you though, right?
No,
That's
haven't
too
got
bad.
I did get a call from the extended car warranty folks.
Well,
That's cool. Well, Toke420 said we can't rate the podcast on Spotify, so he's not very happy, but
that is a travesty.
He's toking it.
Yeah, I don't know why Spotify is like that.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah,
I appreciate the effort that you actually tried and found out you couldn't do it. So thank you for that.
A for effort. Yep.
A for effort. A for effort. All right, guys. Well, let's talk about some basketball. Justin, it hasn't been long since you've been on a podcast. What, about
Indeed.
14, 15 hours?
Feels like yesterday.
So the Thunder beat the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. I forget the final score of that game. Probably
120 to 118.
120
to 118.
There you go. A tale of two different halves in that game. Totally. If you want a complete rundown of that post game, go check out Justin's post game podcast. He did a phenomenal job for it.
Aww,
and he got to cover a lot more of a fun game than I got to cover on Friday night. So
yeah,
but guys, the Thunder,
for once I got the fun one. That's
exactly.
a rare treat for me.
Although they tried to shit it away,
They
which
really
was
did.
really funny. The Thunder go 2-2 on the week, splitting both series. They go 1-1 against the Rockets, 1-1 against the Timberwolves. Guys, just general thoughts, feelings, emotions, analysis about the Thunder's week and where they are at so far, which is currently sitting at, I believe, 10-12 on the season. That would be correct, 10-12, the 10th worst record in the league. Anything that you picked up from this week?
I found myself getting frustrated, not because like the team is supposed to be bad and they're winning games and stuff like that, but because of the inconsistency of the players that we saw on the court. Like, for example, I mean, the first bout with the T-Wolves, OKC didn't have any of their backcourt, and then their second bout, they didn't have any front court. So it's like really weird. And the other half of the team's down in the damn G League thing. So it's just so weird to see who's going to play on any given night. But yeah, so it's a little unsettling. It's a little weird.
It's like musical chairs.
Yeah, I couldn't get a good read on anything. It was like, it's just strange. But Hamidou Diallo played well.
Yeah. Isn't it funny
Yeah.
that on Friday night against the Wolves, Darius Baisley played point guard? And then on Saturday night against the Wolves, Darius Baisley played center?
Right, exactly. The roster, I think I called it roster roulette yesterday, is very fascinating, and I think would be difficult to coach from Mark Daignault's perspective, but also difficult to coach against from the opponent's perspective. And I think we've seen a little bit of that. It's been interesting to watch. Coming into the season, we talked about what are these little mini series going to look like. And we had 2 of them this week, and we have one more coming up against the Lakers with the Minnesota Timberwolves and with the Houston Rockets this week, seeing what adjustments get made. It's like a tiny microcosm of a playoff series. And I think what's been encouraging from a coaching staff development perspective is seeing that the Thunder have made adjustments. Both of these games with the Rockets absolutely blowing out the Thunder, and then the Thunder coming back and beating the Rockets, and then the Timberwolves eking out a win against the Thunder, and then the Thunder coming back and beating the Wolves on the second night. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like against the Lakers. I don't think they steal one of those, but does the improvement still happen? Do the adjustments still happen? I think that's a positive sign for a developing team to see that they're able to take what happens in game 1 and apply it to learnings in game 2.
On the broadcast last night, they talked about how after last night's game, I think the Thunder have won 4 games on the second time they faced a team, and how the stats, especially the defensive stats, changed substantially from what the Thunder give up in the first night of a game against a team, and then what they give up the second night, which is kind of encouraging. Like you said, Justin, they are making the adjustments. They're identifying things. They're changing things up. And so I think these last 2 games are kind of hard to gauge that, just because of how many moving pieces on both sides.
Right.
The Timberwolves did not have D'Angelo Russell Saturday night, which I think you could argue they didn't have him for half the night on Friday night with the way he just kind of went through the motions.
Yeah. Right.
But it's so that one's kind of hard, but the other ones I think that's a really good point, that they're adjusting well.
Yep. And I think you hope to see that throughout the season. That's all we're really looking for. It's less about the wins and losses with this team and more about are they making progress? And I think that applies to the players as well as the coaching staff. And I think that's something that maybe doesn't get talked about enough, is that, this is Mark Daignault's first year as a head coach. I think seeing what he's able to do through these kind of unique situations like the roster turnover, how do you adjust your game plan when you have no big guy? I think we saw Ryan Saunders take pretty good advantage of that with Naz Reid just feasting in the paint last night. But ultimately, the Thunder come out with the win. But I think kind of testing Daignault as much as you're testing these players to see what kind of growth he has as he kind of grows into this head coaching role.
Is it weird to watch Kenrich Williams play defense? It feels like his legs don't move as fast as he wants them to. Have you guys noticed that?
Kind of, yeah.
Like he shuffles those hips like crazy, but those feet aren't moving like at all. It's weird.
He is a pretty versatile defender, though. They put him in a lot of different spots, guarding a lot of different guys. So, Kamiar, at the top of this, you mentioned kind of the inconsistency, and I think that can all be wrapped up into one player, Darius Baisley. I felt like throughout the season, Bays has been wildly inconsistent. Last night had a pretty nice and efficient game, but on Friday night was like 4 of 14 for 10 points or something like that. Bays is like the world's worst roller coaster. It's just up and down and up and down, and it's wild. And for a team that I think we all agree is overachieving so far and has a lot of young guys that are performing rather impressively, Hamidou Diallo, Isaiah Roby, Lou Dort, even though Lou's coming back down to earth a little bit. Obviously, Shea. Baisley was a guy that I think we were all really high on in the offseason and coming into the regular season. And he has been, there's nights where he looks like he could be a really, really good NBA player. And there's nights where, he looks like he's trying to run he's like a old computer trying to run a modern video game. It just does not compute. It's just trudging along. It can't work, right? And he's maybe the microcosm of the season, I think, in the sense of the up and down, the inconsistencies, the not knowing what you're going to get on any given night type of idea.
There were plenty of times when I saw him just catch the ball in the corner and honestly be really wide open. And then he was like, oh man, I don't know what to do with this ball in my hands. Like, should I shoot it? And then like you probably tell he thinks about his stat line. He's like, well, I'm about to drive it. And then so he sticks his leg out and then he's like, no, I think I'll just pass it. And then so like he effectively killed a few possessions last night just by doing stuff like that and not making his mind up or a quick decision, just not playing the game. He's thinking about what he should do or what the right play is. And
too much thinking, not enough instinct.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's weird because he's good instinctually on defense and offense. He's just so indecisive.
Yep. And I think that I touched on this on last night's podcast about the second Timberwolves game. I think a lot of that probably is affected by, you think about guys, pretty much anybody in his class fits into this category, like the strangest first 2 years in the NBA, hands down. Your first season's abruptly comes to a halt halfway through, and then you go to the bubble, which is a very abnormal circumstance. And then right before your second season, you get no summer league, you get a truncated training camp, and then you get tossed into another very strange season. So I think that combined with, his very untraditional path out of high school, the New Balance internship, he has not had by any means a normal path to the NBA. And I think it's normal to see this kind of stuff out of second year players anyway. I think it's getting amplified a little bit because of how strange his acclimation to the association has been. That was a funky wording. Acclimation to the association.
That's
that
sounds
many big
like
words in a short.
That sounds like something from a movie. That's like it sounds like a club I need to be a part of.
The
acclamation of the
highly
association.
distinguished.
Acclamation to the association club.
Darius Baisley is chief academic officer of the acclamation to the association. And I think it'll take some time. I think what we're seeing the glimpses of what he could be. I think getting that consistency will come when he feels more comfortable with the offense, when he feels more comfortable with the speed of the NBA, when he feels more comfortable in those moments and he doesn't have to stop and think, and he can just play his game and use his skills and abilities and attributes to his advantage. That's when we'll see Bays really shine.
Yeah. I feel like acclamation to the association is like something that Sam Presti would come up with. This is our director of the acclamation to the association department. Kind of like how I forget who it is. Somebody in the front office is the director of foresight and insight.
I love this so much. So I would like to be that person that's just like, okay, here's how they talk about those seminars where it's like, here's how not to bring ladies back to your hotel room when you're on a road trip. That kind of stuff. I mean, hopefully they're not doing that during a pandemic and such.
Probably need to talk to Daniel House.
I would like that. Man. I would like that role though.
That'd be a cool job. I'm into it. One guy that we only saw for one game this week, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Did he play in the first Houston game?
Yes, that's where he got hurt, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
So we saw 2 times this week, but the most recent time against Minnesota Saturday night, pretty impressive.
The shakeover.
He 13 points in the fourth quarter, 6 of 8 shooting, ended with what, 31, 6 and 8? Is that right?
Yeah.
30, I think 7.
31, 7.
31, 7 and 9.
Oh, sorry, Shai. I didn't mean to undercut you there.
Pumping up the stats.
I know it's Minnesota, and Minnesota sucks. God damn, does Minnesota suck? Jesus.
They're not very good.
I do not envy anybody podcasting about the Minnesota Timberwolves today. But even though it was Minnesota, impressive stuff by Shai. Very impressive stuff down the stretch of that game. First quarter really let the game come to him. 2 plays where Minnesota goes under the screen and Shai pulls up from like 30 feet. In the third quarter, he got that little drive and pull-up game at the elbow going. And then the fourth quarter, just went to work, and nobody on Minnesota could stay in front of him. Minnesota was throwing first overall pick Anthony Edwards at him to defend him. And Shea was just really getting what he wanted. He was too slithery, too
Slithery.
I don't know another word besides slithery.
I don't like that word. I hate that. I really
slippery.
hate that word.
Slippery.
Oh, hey, live on the podcast, back
Uh-oh.
from the grocery store, the idiot himself,
I survived Super Bowl Sunday grocery store
Taylor
run.
Peterson.
Amazing. What
He
an
has
entrance.
joined the podcast live. What's up, Taylor? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
So good.
I'm in the office today. It's a little bit of an echo. But,
Are you gonna lean over every time you speak?
Yes. Okay. You guys want to see this?
Yeah.
I spent money on a home studio.
Oh my god.
All I
It's
see is
pretty
a big
sweet.
black hole.
That's like one of those. That's like one of those things that referees put their heads in to watch. the
What?
plays.
I'm gonna be doing the entire podcast like this, like I'm a referee.
That's fantastic.
But hopefully
Oh
now
my
I
God.
can
Did
podcast
you
in
get-
the office and not echo terribly.
Did you get that at the grocery store too?
Yeah, seriously.
I did not. Got stuff for buffalo chicken dip.
Mm.
Obviously got some beer because we're going to a watch party. Or I say party. It's like 4 of us. But yeah, I'm ready to watch my Chiefs.
Buffalo dip and beer. Anything else? It took you that long to get buffalo dip and beer?
No, I
buddy?
did the normal grocery weekly run also.
What does that
wasn't fun.
consist of? What do you normally buy?
like-
for
Oh,
your-
hold on,
stuff for
hold on.
lunch,
Taylor doesn't get to tell us
breakfast.
that. We get to decide what Taylor's grocery list was. Justin, you're first. Go.
Probably the really big pack of Charmin for whenever he's done with that buffalo chicken dip.
100%.
That is true.
Palmier, what else is on the Taylor grocery store list?
That's disgusting. Taylor also decided to buy. He instead of going to the normal bread section, he went to the frozen bread section and got that Jesus bread with the doves on it
The cheese
because
bread.
it's really good for you.
It's good for
I
the
like
soul.
I'm saying Taylor is a 2% milk kind of guy. And he gets the unscented bar lotion, or not lotion, soap,
Soap?
unscented bar soap,
Gross.
because the scented stuff dries his skin out.
That was specific. So you guys
That's really
you guys
weird.
hit on the
Shower?
toilet paper, and Jacob hit on the 2% milk. But that's
Oh,
that's all
hell
you
yeah.
guys got.
All right, welcome
So anyways,
to,
I'm here. We can start back from the beginning. Let's talk about this.
yeah,
week's
welcome
Thunder
to the
basketball.
Uncontested podcast where we play games like Guess What's on Taylor's grocery store list. We'll come up with a new sounder for that one come next week.
That's
Thrilling.
amazing.
But as we were talking about before we were so rudely interrupted here, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, incredibly impressive last night. But I think what we're starting to see from this guy, we talked about how Baisley's been wildly inconsistent. We're getting the same thing from Shai night in and night out. And Justin, we talked a little bit about this in the Slack last night during the game, but Shai has routinely this season been incredible in the third quarters and then kind of cools off in the fourth. Last night, that kind of changed a little bit, where he was really hot in the fourth quarter. And actually, I think he took over 20 shots last night, which is not normal for him. I think we kind of finally got to see the Shai we wanted to see last night. The Shai that said, F it, give me the ball. I'm running the show out here. I'm going to make stuff happen. And it ended up how I wanted it to. I mean, just a complete takeover, had the ball on a string, was making the right play every time down, getting to the rim, collapsing the defense, kicking the ball out to shooters, even though sometimes his teammates didn't make shots, just making the right play, but being incredibly aggressive.
Incredibly aggressive.
Which is what we have asked for all season long.
While I was at the grocery store, I was listening to Justin's post game, and I got to listen to him talk about the shakeover. And one thing that I love that Justin mentioned was that I think it kind of can be, I guess, exemplified with that one shot where Shai drove to the rim in the fourth. He got just absolutely hacked, and somehow was able to finish and get the and one. Just his will, and like you said, Jacob, his aggressiveness was just super impressive and really fun to watch. I mean, he was getting double teamed at certain times. He was almost like being triple teamed, and he was still able to split through defenders and get to the rim. And that's just really, really special.
I think that's the biggest thing with Shea. With Baisley, we talked about it feels like he's overthinking it. With Shea, I feel like it's when he gets passive. It's when he brings the ball up the court and kind of facilitates, but then just kind of like fades out. And he's not fully engaged in the entire rest of the possession. But when he comes up on a mission, I think that's when you see Shea at his best. And I hope that he can continue to kind of amp up that killer instinct, because I think what we've seen is he's got the moves to take over when he wants to be aggressive. It's just a matter of being aggressive more often.
True.
I wish Shea had the confidence to call his own number as much as his brother from Kentucky, Hamidou Diallo. Like Hami is not afraid at all to call his own number, even when it's a really poor decision. And Shea's like more reserved in that. And like I feel like, because we have said like, oh, we've been waiting for a long time, and it's against the T-Wolves. Like until he does it against somebody like that has a good defense or that's just good in general, I don't know. The jury's still out on that for me. But I mean, he has it, and with a touch of luck, because there were a couple of those late ones that, which is like they just bounce off the rim just perfectly. They obviously went in, and so I'm just really curious to see like if he has that kind of streak that Ja Morant has. We've seen Ja Morant already be like an alpha in Memphis.
Comparison. And
like we've seen what Ja Morant has, and of course he's more athletic than Shea, but they're both still very high-profile young athletes, and we've seen that superstar mentality out of Ja. I'd like to see out of Shea. That in the fact that we haven't seen it yet until maybe last night. I don't know if you would count that. He did score down the stretch. That's why I keep on thinking, is he going to be a Pippen to somebody else's Jordan? Like, is OKC going to have to bring a better player than Shea to really compete later on?
That's true. And I think that's still a big question. But like one thing, for example, last night that I thought maybe was the most impressive of that stretch, we saw Shea scoring at all three levels. Right, we saw that logo shot that he hit, which was just wild. I mean, that was like Dame range, Steph range. We saw him pulling up on a dime, right, dribbling, going to the rim. Obviously, I think the defense expects that. He pulls up and is able to get either a floater or a nice pull-up jump shot, kind of like Russ. Early on in his career, he always called it the cotton shot. And then driving to the rim, which is obviously his greatest strength, and finishing around the rim. He's so crafty. Scoring at all three levels like that and being able to take over in that way, it's just that versatility is going to open up his game so much more. And I think that's kind of partially why. I mean, he had it going at all three levels, and I think that is one reason we saw him just scoring at will there down the stretch.
Definitely. So looking at Shea's stats for this season, he's at 22.3 points a game. That's 3.5 points more than last season. He's at 6.4 assists a game, effectively doubling last season's average of 3.3. His rebounding has gone down just a hair. He's at 5.5 rebounds this season compared to 5.9 last season. But here's the place that really impresses me. He's only shooting about one more shot a game compared to last year. He's at 15.3 field goal attempts per game.
That's interesting.
Yes. He's shooting one more three-pointer a game, but his three-point percentage is up 3% from 34 to 37. His two-point percentage is up nearly 7% from 51 to 58%. That's a little bit of rounding there, but it's right at 7%. His overall field goal percentage, 51.5% for the season. That's compared to 47% last year. Maybe Shea's not being as aggressive as we want from game to game, but damn, is he being efficient. Every night he is incredibly efficient. And I think that's something you really, really want to see. Another big thing for him, his free throw attempts. He's up 1.2 free throw attempts from 5.1 to 6.3 this year. Obviously, you maybe want to see those free throws go up a little bit more, and his percentage isn't great at 76% compared to 80% in his first two seasons. So you want to see those free throws come up a little bit more. But man, that's maybe the most impressive thing to Shea this season for me is just the efficiency. He's scoring, maybe not shooting the ball enough, but when he does, it's typically going in. I mean, shooting 52% from the floor for the season there's not a whole lot of like high volume number one guys on a team doing that, right? A lot of those guys that are high volume or number one guys are shooting closer to 46, 47, 48%.
It's kind of like two complete opposites, right? We went from our beloved Russell Westbrook, who did take all those shots, to now Shea, who doesn't take nearly as many but is incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that we always talk about the two contrasting styles of play, but it really is interesting.
Definitely. All right, guys. Well, let's move on. Let's stop talking about the past. Let's talk about the future.
The future.
In what I like to call the upcoming hell month
Yeah, no
for
kidding.
Oklahoma City.
Brutal.
Yeah.
The month of hell. The Thunder's schedule from today through the halfway point of the season, when we get the little break, although we apparently aren't getting a break because we're getting an all-star game. We'll get into that in a second. The Thunder play. This is their schedule. Lakers, Nuggets, Bucks, Blazers, Grizzlies, Bucks again, Cavs, Heat, Spurs, Hawks, Nuggets, Mavericks, Spurs. It's 14 total games.
It's a lot of good teams.
11 of those 14 games come against current playoff teams. The 3 non-playoff teams they play are the Heat, Cavs, and Mavs. So Jimmy Butler, Colin Sexton, Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
My question is,
That's a heck of a month.
over those next 14, what do we expect moving forward?
Man, I think I expect a lot of nights where I'm podcasting, and by that I mean blowout losses.
Hey, congrats on your win last night, Justin.
Hey, thank you. It felt good. A rare treat. No, but really, I think there's going to be some ugly nights throughout there. But I also, this team, I think, has shown the ability to fight. We've seen a handful of times this season where a team will facilitate a lead and then kind of take their foot off the gas, not unlike what the Thunder did to the T-Wolves last night, and let the Thunder back in it. I think we're going to get to see that a lot. I hope so. But I think there's going to be some nights where the Thunder come out and surprise some people. I'm not saying they're going to, go out and upset the Lakers or the Bucks or something like that, but I think at least making it interesting and putting up a fight. I think there's going to be some opportunities to see these young guys go up against some of the best players in the league and see what they're made of. And I think that's exciting for us to watch as fans.
What's fun with OKC is that they're one of those teams now that OKC used to play when they were a lot better, that other teams will start to rest their stars against you and
True.
give you a chance to win.
I was going to touch
So,
on
for
that
example,
a
like
little bit.
LeBron James has literally been day-to-day every game this entire season. And stuff like the Bucks and other guys like that. Like, that wouldn't surprise me if they arrested somebody a lot of those games. And so I could see definitely 2-12. OKC will probably win a game that they shouldn't, and maybe a couple games that they shouldn't, and be at 4-10. But I like to settle in at 2-12 or 3-11. It's not going to be very fun. I don't believe. I don't think many of them will be close games either.
I think you guys are right that there's going to definitely be quite a few games more similar to the Brooklyn Nets game when everybody was healthy for the Nets and the Thunder lost by quite a bit. But with that being said, something else that I've noticed throughout the season, and I know everybody has, it's a crazy season with all these players having to sit out to. I mean, we saw the whole Kevin Durant saga play out, right, with the contact tracing. He's already had COVID and he's already had to sit out because of contact tracing earlier this season.
He got big mad on Twitter too.
Yeah,
It's very on brand for
Kevin
him.
Durant tweeting out. And anyways,
He finally said, "Screw the burner. I'm going on the
yeah,
real
I'm going on
account."
my real one.
Have you guys seen Alfred Payton's burner on Twitter too?
No, I haven't seen that one. I've seen Jeff Teague. Somebody
It's
found Jeff Teague the
good
other
Yeah,
day.
I saw Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague was funny
Jeff's
Good
gonna
stuff.
go off and have a great game tonight.
because nobody in the world is tweeting about Jeff
Jeff
Teague.
Teague.
I promise you that. I promise you that.
Anyways, I could see some games where the Thunder down the stretch are playing a Milwaukee Bucks team, that are shorthanded and are able, or who knows, that are able to get some wins that way. We'll see. 63.
Yeah. So some people in the
Yep.
chat, Nate and Matt, both saying probably around 4-10. Kamiar said 2-12, 3-11. I think right around there is probably where the Thunder are going to end up. I think this is going to be a chance. You guys mentioned, the other teams kind of resting star players whenever they play the Thunder. Well, the Thunder are without George Hill. They rested Al Horford last night. I think you're going to see that coming up a little bit more often. Although Isaiah Roby's in a boot, and Mike Muscala got knocked the F out last night.
Yeah, by an elbow.
Yeah.
Trevor Ariza isn't even real, and neither is
Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome. I've never Is he even a person?
Yeah, I don't believe in Ty Jerome.
What do we think Trevor Ariza's doing right now?
He's
I'm
probably
curious.
getting ready for a Super Bowl party.
Probably at the grocery store.
True.
Getting some buffalo chicken dip.
And some unscented soap.
2% milk. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, do you think he's still in game shape?
No,
not a chance.
No way.
On the couch, like eating Doritos and
He's
smoking.
basically salary at this
There's
point.
no way OKC's even going to
Dead
trade
salary.
him this year. He's just a
Yeah,
dude
I
that's
don't
on the
think so either.
salary
Just
sheet.
buy him out, yeah.
I would probably.
Man, that's living the dream. Like
I know.
Ariza this year.
Yeah,
And
but
it's not a
Iguodala
minimum.
last
He's
year.
making like 10 mil.
Just
Yeah.
to sit there
That's
and work
incredible.
out. Maybe, I
Cash
bet he's
checks,
working
man.
out, but yeah.
Cash and checks.
He's probably
fair.
getting really good at Fortnite or something.
Yeah. God.
Yep.
I'm watching the Suns Celtics game right now.
Yeah.
Celtics aren't very good
I'm
this
just
year,
gonna leave it
guys.
at
They're not very good this year. They're not very good.
Not as good as they should be.
Jeez.
So yeah, but I think the Thunder will maybe tend to rest some guys as well. I gotta say, I did enjoy the starting lineup last night, guys, and I hope
was a
we get to see
blast.
that over these.
That was a fun lineup.
14 games before the half. Shea, Lou, Teo, Bays, and my
Kenny
boy
Hustle.
Kenny.
It was fun until like Nas Reed figured out he was 50 pounds heavier than
Exactly.
everybody else on the Thunder team.
Only
Yeah.
took him 3/4,
Right.
but dang it, he
Yeah.
found out.
I do think that, that starting lineup really made me kind of galvanized my feelings on Al Horford and George Hill of like, yeah, they're good players, whatever. I just wish they weren't here because that lineup was so much more fun. Al Horford's
So
great.
much
He
more
wa-
fun.
He was great against the Timberwolves in the first game, but he's not as fun to watch. Like it's so much more fun to just turn the young guys loose and let them see what'll happen. There's going to be more mistakes. There's going to be more negatives, but I think the net positives are there that make it so much more fun.
Does it feel like Teo Maladon is like really stiff to any of you guys? The way he starts in his breaks and his runs and direction changes, how like not fluid that motion is.
A little bit, but
It's like very robotic.
He's not twitchy.
I also feel like Teo is. We've talked about this. Incredibly conservative. He doesn't try things, right? He just doesn't go. I mean, you think a 19-year-old go out there and just be doing shit,
But it makes sense though, because his
Taking his shot.
I would most
his
definitely
job
not
in the
be doing
Spanish
that.
league was like on a championship team was don't f this up because like he's
Yeah,
a
true.
actual legit part like a six man off the bench of like a championship team. So he's probably just trying to run the offense and not make any mistakes.
a really good
rather
point.
than like take advantage of the situation.
Not
I mean-
everybody is J.R. Smith.
But hey, he's got another
Dion.
guard. It takes OKC till after Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, everybody is there to finally find like a couple of guards that try to play defense and shoot threes relatively well. Even though like Melodone, he's got a small sample size, but they went in last
He
night.
has a nice stroke. Yep.
Yep. Justin Teo was up to 37% from three.
Yeah, he is. Keep
He's
on
getting
climbing.
close. He's getting
Teo's
close.
3-point shot to the moon.
To
But-
the moon, like dog coin.
Doge
or whatever.
coin, yeah.
Dogecoin.
No coin.
I invested in some Dogecoin.
That a boy. Hey, investing in that 3-point shot of Teo's.
I'm killing a game today, man.
Speaking
I
of
love it.
Teo's
Stonks.
conservativeness, there could not be a more stark difference in kind of style of play than last night having Teo go up against Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
Same draft class.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards has never met a jump shot he does not like. And then Teo is just like so conservative.
I feel like Anthony Edwards talks a lot of crap on the court. He just
I can see that. He's chirping a little
gives you that
bit.
vibe.
If I went number one overall, I'd be talking shit too, man.
Do you
Fair.
think? Do you
I
think
bet Anthony Bennett talked trash.
Do you think that Anthony Edwards talked a lot of trash to Teo last night, and instead of speaking back to him, he just like spoke back to him in French or just acted
That's
like
what I was
he
going to
didn't
say.
speak
We
French?
started talking
Oui.
shit back in France. That was gonna be
Yes.
awesome. Oh
Croissant.
my gosh, Justin, just completely unrelated or kind of related, but your video you tweeted.
So good.
Oh,
What's that?
That's my favorite.
Where'd you find that? Like Twitter, I guess, but like
Yeah. Do you not remember that?
no,
It was
I
I
didn't
remember
see
that. During the protests and
Yeah. No, it was after,
Is after the election
election.
victory. I saw it in
Yeah,
French.
it's
I was like,
so
oh, it's
funny. This guy just walks up to a French
found
reporter.
an American.
Just walks up to a French reporter and just starts saying every French word that he knows. And
Omelette
it's
du
so good.
fromage. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah.
Oui, oui, oui.
That reminds me of
Hey,
that.
Maladon.
Do you guys remember that skit on All That growing up in the 90s with Keenan?
Yes.
And he was in the bathtub in
Yes.
France and he would be like, ha, 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 every time. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
I used
that's
to
a
laugh
classic.
my ass off at that as a kid for like
The
10
peak of
straight
comedy.
minutes.
Oh, man.
It's so good.
No, thinking back now, all that was just Saturday Night Live for children.
Yeah.
100%. And
That's
now
all
look
it
at
was. I
Keenan.
just now
He's
realized
living
that.
the dream.
Yeah, Keenan's on the adult version
Now
now.
he's actually on Saturday Night Live.
I love Keenan.
He's
Good
good.
stuff. Man. Good stuff. All right. Anything else about Hell Week? Or not Hell Week, Hell,
Hell
Month?
It's not gonna be fun.
Well said.
There's
You're welcome. I try.
I think over the next 14 games, we will be back on the fully on the tank train. We'll be talking a lot about
What does a tank train look
Yeah,
like?
what is a tank train?
It's a train with tanks on it. Have you never seen that before?
Oh,
yeah.
like
or is it a train that's tanking and going downward?
it's like a military style, like they're gearing up for war.
Yeah. I think that's a tank train.
Okay.
Maybe
train
it could be
tank.
both. It could be a train with tanks on it that the train itself is like tanking and going off the rails.
Just like this conversation.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Speaking of tanking,
There it
it's
is.
time for the tank meter.
Da, da, da.
Honing us back in.
I feel like we
still
I
need
feel
a
like we
tank
need
meter
to-
sounder.
Yeah, I feel like we need that one, and we need another explanation about if the tank meter is full. Is that good or bad?
Okay,
Yes.
so I keep meaning to make a sounder. I haven't yet. I was quarantined all week. I probably should have. I didn't. Although, let me tell you guys something. Being quarantined for a week, I'm screwed. I've been going to bed at like 3 a.m. and waking up at noon. I got to go back to work tomorrow. I'm gonna get my ass beat.
Yeah,
It's gonna
That's going to
sounds
be
fun.
brutal.
Who's gonna beat it?
be life.
Oh, okay.
Life itself. Although I don't have COVID. I've tested negative twice.
That
now.
is awesome.
Yay,
That's
good
good
for
news.
you.
Shout out to your boy. Okay, so the tank meter. Here's I don't have a sounder. Tank.
Wah,
That's-
wah, wah.
I'll just get a whole bunch of really sad sounds, and that can be the tank meter. Part of
Like
it's just going to be
a
my
log
voice
horn.
talking. That's pretty sad.
Or it can be like the draft sounder.
Ping pong balls bouncing.
Oh, there you go. Lottery.
God, I got a lot of ideas. If you guys have ideas for the tank meter sounder, send them in to @the_uncontested on twitter.com.
It's got to be something from The Price is Right. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that one's
Oh,
good.
there you go. That's
That's
good.
a good one.
That's a good one.
Classic.
You remember
right,
Happy Gilmore? The price isn't right, Bob, and he punches the hell out of
Bobby.
him.
So, if the tank meter is full, it means the Thunder are going full tank. They are gunning for the number one pick. If the tank meter is empty, that means they are not tanking. They're trying to make the playoffs. Before you guys give me your update on the tank meter, I do want to say Thunder currently, for their draft picks for 2021, they're slated to get Miami's pick, which currently has the fourth best odds because they're the fourth worst team. They're slated to get their own pick, which has the 10th best odds. They are not getting the Golden State first rounder as of right now. So instead, they're getting Minnesota's second rounder, which would be pick 32, their own second rounder, which is pick 40, and Denver's second rounder, which is pick 50. With all that being said, where do the Thunder fall currently on the tank meter? Is it full? Is it empty? Is it halfway?
I'm going to say it's pretty close to halfway right now, leaning slightly more towards full than empty.
Okay.
Full being full tank, because I understand how this works now, unlike last time. But I think that honestly, it's probably the worst spot to be at this exact moment. You don't want to be in the middle. That's all. You either want to be pushing for the playoffs or you want to be bottoming out. And the Thunder are just kind of hovering. A 2-2 week like they had last week kind of fits the narrative of being somewhere in the middle. I think that we're getting close to the point where you're going to see the front office have to make some decisions one direction or another if this continues. I think the schedule
fair.
over the next month, like we talked about, is probably going to go a long way in helping this thing kind of turn the direction that it's supposed to. But I think that overall, if it doesn't, then the front office is going to have to make some decisions, because unless Miami continues to be terrible, which they conceivably could,
If it's going to be the best pick, yeah, that's fair.
yeah, unless you're banking
winning
on
games.
that, which feels a little risky to rely on something kind of outside of your hands, I think you might see a shift in philosophy in the future.
Yeah, I was thinking halfway as well, just cop out answer, because the Thunder were 2-2 this week. But I would say maybe leaning more towards empty tank, as in like they truly are beginning to we're starting to see that tank and that kind of a regression to the mean. Because if you look at the standings, I mean, the Thunder are 13th in the West. I mean, I don't think the Mavericks are going to continue to suck this badly for this long. Speaking of a team who will probably make a move, when it comes down to it, I mean, they kind of are where they're supposed to be. And like you mentioned, Justin, as currently constructed, again, I know we didn't have our full players, but say, hypothetically, we had our full team playing these over the past week, they probably should have gone 3-1, 4-0 as currently constructed. So I think, like you said, once Presti, the trade deadline comes, and maybe we're without Hill or without Muscala or whoever it may be, and just with this tough schedule, like you mentioned as well, Justin, coming up this next month, I'm going to say we're kind of trending towards the tank.
That's a good question. I want the Thunder to tank, but they almost refuse
They're
to.
going to get attacked on twitter.com for that statement.
I don't care. But no, it's weird, because like I've always wondered what it was like to play on a tanking team. Like for the guys specifically that play night in and night out, like, some of those injuries are just made up injuries. Or it's like, oh, they're a little sore, so we'll call it this.
Like Shea and Lou.
Right.
It's just like, what is it like? Do they just tell you in practice, like, hey, we're gonna sit you out, and like does that mess with the players? Like, will to play or want to play that night, knowing that their teammates are out, or what is that like? Is it a toxic situation, or can it get toxic? I don't know what it's like, but I mean, the tank meter should be around, half full to 60%. I mean, I'm going a little more tanky because they're about to get their butts kicked for the next month and a half. And so, I mean, I think with George Hill out, Al Horford will probably rest more. Somebody's going to have another baby probably, and they're going to be out for 9 games because this Thunder team is just like, you know what? Y'all spend your own time. We'll get ready. Like, we're going to send half our team down to play in the G League.
Yeah.
Don't worry about, as long as we have 8, that's fine, guys. And if we have to forfeit a couple games, we're cool with that too.
It's kind of like AAU ball in the summer, right? Like you have your full team for the big tournaments, but like those smaller tournaments that you're just kind of playing in between, it's just like, okay, how many of you guys can show up? Okay, we have 6. Perfect. Hey, I do want to make a point really quick though about, you guys mentioned Lou and Shea's injuries, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about how Presti's just they're fine, they're good to go. Presti's just doing this so they can lose games. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's more so Presti is holding them out and being extra cautious this season, because this season is not the season to risk furthering injuries, where a season like last year you play Shea and Lou. This year you don't risk that. That's why Isaiah's in a precautionary, Roby's in a precautionary boot right now, right?
Hey, I think Kamiar was onto something there, though. I mean, if you're really planning on tanking, you wait about till there's, I don't know, 5-6 months until the season starts. And then you start slipping some of that get Roman into your players, into their drinks. That way all their wives and girlfriends get pregnant and they have to miss games due to the birth of the baby.
Or just start making up hypothetical babies. Isaiah Roby is pregnant.
Isaiah Roby looks like a giant baby.
He does. Yeah. He still has a baby face.
The entire team had a baby.
And he goes and just gives you that work.
Man, Isaiah Roby versus DeMarcus Cousins was my favorite matchup of the year.
Yes.
Because it's like a 12-year-old versus like a 50-year-old convict.
And then especially when Roby, I think that was my post game where he had that he had that move down low where he kind of banged into DeMarcus Cousins, created separation, and pulled up with a nice floater, finished around the rim.
Yeah.
Do you think Roby can grow facial hair?
I don't think so.
That's a good question.
He definitely
and it would
has a
look
baby
really
face.
bad if he could. Really bad. Hey, Nate Sanders in the chat asked, do y'all think we end up with the Rockets pick or the Heat pick? And where will it land? Interestingly enough, Rockets without Christian Wood
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future. Maybe they got Muslim Wood. I don't know.
Dude, oh my gosh.
Can't say that.
And then Avery Bradley is out with the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
So both teams without rotation players. Sorry. I enjoy Christian Wood's name too much. My meme the other night was just
It's not okay.
Yes.
I cannot believe that we are not kicked off Twitter.com.
Oh my
I have
gosh.
I
Christian
know why we're
Wood.
not
You
verified.
can have Jewish boner, right?
Stop.
Feel me?
We're gonna get so many one stars.
I specifically do not want to feel you.
Yeah, I don't like any of the way this is going.
Which pick did the Thunder end up with? Is it going to be Miami or Houston?
I don't know.
I kind of think Miami at this point. They'll get it together at some point, but not quickly enough, and I don't think it'll be quite good enough.
Isn't Houston's topper protected?
Top 4.
Top 4 protected.
And they're without Christian Wood for a minute, and the team honestly doesn't like playing with each other. And Oladipo and
People might be shipped out. That's a good point. I
John
didn't think of
Wall
that.
are just not
Ooh,
vibing
guys, we
together.
have live breaking news on the pod.
D Rose.
Oh, this has been in the making since this morning. Like nobody cares.
Detroit has agreed to trade Derrick Rose to New York for Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2021 second round.
pick.
Derrick Rose's
I like that.
knees are going to be just a powder by the end of the season because Tom Thibodeau, because Julius Randle is killing it, but because Thibodeau is not giving him any rest at all. He's just on the court at all times, and D
100%.
Rose is doing the same thing.
Well, speaking of, let's move on to around the association. But before we do, because Kamiar just brought it up, we are not transitioning to around the association until Kamiar gives us the Tibbs voice.
What's the Tibbs voice?
You do it the best.
Like,
I don't know. Is it is it like a Batman voice? Is that the Tibbs?
Yeah, it's the one that you did.
think about Batman, but he smokes a carton a day.
He's like, "Oh, Julius, get to the corner, Julius. Oh, Julius,
Get back on defense.
oh, get a free throw, Julius."
All right, Justin and Taylor, you also have to give us your Tibbs voice before we move on.
Oh man,
That wasn't a good Tibbs
He
voice.
kind of has a voice like Batman, but he looks exactly like Penguin.
Ooh, well said.
We're really excited about trading for Derrick Rose. I think having a veteran guy like that in the backcourt's really going to help give us that presence to coach up the young guys. And Emmanuel Quickly can really benefit from having him around the locker room.
That kind of sounded like Doc after he smoked 10 cigars too.
That's good. Taylor, you're
or the Cookie Monster. The Cookie Monster.
It's like a drunk Cookie Monster. I don't think Taylor can do it. I
Taylor
think he has it in
Taylor
him.
might be a drunk Cookie Monster if the Chiefs win tonight.
Taylor,
That's
say,
right.
say go Chiefs. And
Go G. Go G.
Awful.
oh,
I can do
man.
it.
All right. Let's take a trip around the association.
I don't even know where you're sitting at.
I just had a thought in my head. That sounder
That's
is
a first.
Don't scare me.
Kawhi laughing, but they make it into that music. We need one of Tibbs laughing and making
Yes.
it would be gold. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Hey, is it
Unbelievable.
weird that Stan Van Gundy and Zion have the same body type?
Oh my gosh. Kamiar and
It's rainbow.
Zion slander never ceases.
Imagine Zion with the Stan mustache.
Zion wishes he was Julius Randle. That's all I'm gonna say.
This season for dang sure.
All right.
Oh man.
Let's first start talking about apparently we're having an all-star game. The NBA and the Players Association are finalizing details on an all-star game come March 7th in Atlanta. Comes in the middle of a pandemic.
Oh,
Lots
right.
of players seem to be against this. Specifically, LeBron James has come out and talked against it. Giannis has come out and talked against it. I don't know if any other high-profile players have had anything negative to say so far. But what are your thoughts about actually getting an all-star game? The all-star game is already like, I think a lot of people kind of see it as a joke, that it's not taken very seriously. And now this year with nobody wanting to be there, like, what do you expect from this?
Silver's kind of freaking out about in the chat about Fat Julius Randle. he or she must have missed the inside joke of Kamiar's here. What was that, like a year and a half ago?
Yeah, Fat Julius Randle. Yeah, that's always a good time. No, man, the All-Star game is a complete sham. It's a sham. It's a mockery.
It's like a party week. Like,
yeah.
You're going to have all those players down there. Obviously, they're going to be all hanging out. I know they're going to be doing testing or whatever, but that might not pop up until after the All-Star break. You're trying to do all these things like limit player interaction, like at midcourt, and you have like security guards so they can't like hug and do handshakes or whatever.
But you're about to intermingle teams with an All-Star.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right. And probably going to let fans inside because as we saw with the whole LeBron situation, the State Farm Arena in Atlanta has been allowing fans in.
Yeah.
Courtside Karen.
What are we doing here? I mean, just admit it. I mean, it's a money grab. Absolutely. And it's trying to get fans engaged because, you know, with all the weirdness and players being out, like we mentioned earlier, there's probably less fan engagement, but still, the All-Star game's kind of stupid anyways, especially now. We were talking about the fan voting and stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Okay. I'm an All-Star game stan, and I feel like I have to don my armor and grab my sword every year for the All-Star game. I love the All-Star game. I love it. I love everything about it. I love the stupid events that have a bunch of half-hearted participants. I love the worst of the worst dunk competition attempts.
My favorite was the skills competition with Reggie Jackson. Remember how much of a shit he did not give?
Yes, I love it. I'm 100% here for it. Now, that said, I think what makes this feel different is the fact that it's very obvious the players do not want this. Like, that's something that's always appealed to me, is that it just feels like the NBA players are having fun, like doing stupid crap for the dunk contest. Like you can tell they're having fun. And I think that's what has always made it fun. If they're there and it's obvious that nobody wants to be there, that's going to bring a completely different feel to the All-Star game that I'm not sure how that's going to come off. Like, what even happens when they go try to play this game, if it actually comes to that?
Yeah, LeBron just walking for like 10 minutes.
Right, LeBron totally plays for a minute and then asked to be subbed out. Like, what's
I forgot what
like?
Nate Sanders just brought up about the Elam ending
Elam
last year. I totally forgot about that, and it was really that was a really good ending to it. I think.
Yeah, and they were super competitive last year, kind of in the honor and in the spirit of Kobe.
That's also a good point. And then Kemba hurt his knee. That sucked.
It's like it's cool. Like, I feel like the game is cool for like a quarter and like the fourth quarter, right? It's like the very first bit of it, and like in the last 3 minutes when they actually care about who wins. But like the rest of it's kind of just like it's like, oh, look, remember Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, they alley-oop to each other, and they're not any on the same team anymore. It's crazy. It's like it's just so stupid storylines, you know. And but I do like the skills challenges; those are fun to like look at. Like, wasn't it like the all around or best all around last year? And they had several guards, and then they had Sabonis and Adebayo, and then both Sabonis and Adebayo ended up in the finals. And that was like really fun. That was the one where Shea just completely crapped the bed on that skill challenge. But yeah, I like the skill challenges, like the 3-point shot and stuff like that. But really, the entire week, like, to me, it's just like a week where no NBA happens, and I don't get to watch a regular game on League Pass. Right. So like, especially this year, I think it's really stupid considering all the precautions the NBA is trying to take and all the things that they said they stood for regarding science and the vaccine and COVID-19. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, hey, just kidding. Like, let's have a fashion week and let's have a get together in Atlanta where all the fans can come in, especially after LeBron, and especially after your superstars, LeBron and other people are speaking out against it. Like, I feel like the death knell for that is going to be Chris Paul coming out and saying this is stupid. So like he's playing in a game right now. So
that's the interesting part, though. Is the Players Association did agree to it.
Yeah,
We've seen, like in the bubble situation and stuff, they did press the league on quite a few important issues. And so they obviously signed off on it. So there are going to be, maybe we'll get an all-star game where, you don't have the LeBrons and Giannis's and they let some of those guys opt out, but you have
that
Shea.
might give you an avenue for Shea to get in, like you said.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, of course, Shea's not going to get in if Klay Thompson's ahead of him in the voting. So.
No kidding. That's ridiculous. Also,
I hate the fan vote so much. This is 2016 people writing in Harambe on the presidential ticket. It's 100% what this is.
Exactly.
But it's all a money grab. Also, Justin, with the All-Star game is 100% Jon Snow grasping his sword in the Battle of the Bastards.
But
I was the first from the get-go when they announced the Elam ending, and everybody just lost their mind of like, this doesn't even make any sense. I was like, no, the Elam ending's awesome. If you watch the basketball tournament, it's awesome. It's going to be awesome. And then when it actually played out, everyone was like, okay, this was awesome.
You heard it here
Just
first,
saying.
guys. You want the right takes. Come to the Uncontested with Justin Peabody.
Well,
Justin's going to make fun of you if you don't like the Elam ending.
That's a rare win.
I don't even remember what the Elam ending was. I just remember that it was really cool the first time I'd ever seen it in my life.
Basically, at a certain minute point, it's like they add 10 points to the team that's leading score, and that's the goal score. And once you get there, the game's over.
Yep.
So if it's 105 to 100 with 5 minutes to go, they say, okay, first to 115 wins.
Yep.
So it kind of becomes a pickup game in a sense at that point.
And what it does is it ensures every single game ends on a made basket.
Yeah,
which I think is the best part of it. Every game ends on a ball going through the hoop, not a guy standing at half
But then you'd
court
hear
dribbling
like
it
all
out.
kinds of like mic'd up versions of dudes that even guys used to play it with the park and at the Y, they're like, game time, that's game, buckets.
Exactly.
They try to say something stupid like that every single time. You know?
Paul
I love
Pierce,
it.
did you call bank? I called game. One of the lamest phrases I've ever heard uttered out of an NBA player's mouth ever.
It's coming from the guy that pooped his pants. He admitted,
held up 2 cell phones.
Yeah, he admitted to it. He admitted to pooping his pants, though. So I appreciate him for that.
I respect it.
Remember when Dion had stomach problems and he had to run back into the locker room?
We thought he was injured, but he just had to poop.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Dion's my guy. All right, guys. Well, let's finish up. Trade season is officially open as of yesterday, February 6th. That was the date that players who signed over the offseason could officially be traded. According to Bobby Marks of ESPN, 96% of the league is now trade eligible.
Yes.
We had just saw that we got our first trade in season with D Rose headed to the New York Knicks. My question for you guys, hit me with a bit of a spicy take here. What player are we going to see traded by the deadline this year?
I'm going to go. My spicy one is Zach LaVine.
Oh.
Like in Dallas next to Luka.
Interesting.
That is pretty spicy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I had it in my brain earlier and I just forgot now.
I think we'll see Cleveland make some deals to get rid of some of their big men and clear way for Jared Allen. I think we'll see Cleveland either get rid of Andre Drummond or JaVale McGee, or maybe see all of the above.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Any other players or teams stand out to you guys? Boston with the trade exception?
Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say Aaron Gordon.
You think Orlando's going to lean into to just bottoming out? No Markelle Fultz or Jonathan Isaac for the rest of the season?
I'm less interested in it from Orlando's perspective and more from a free Aaron Gordon perspective. I want to see Aaron Gordon on a team that doesn't suck.
True.
I think this. I remember what I was thinking of now. I think the Spurs are realizing quite quickly that this is going nowhere, and it wouldn't at all surprise me to see DeMar DeRozan end up somewhere else by the end of the season.
That's a good one.
I do like that one.
Like get him for a pick and a young guy or something like that.
I don't know how they get him to the Clippers. But
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the Mavericks are a good trade.
Yeah.
one.
They might need to shake something up.
What about Porzingis? Do they just hold on to him, or do they try and get rid of him?
I don't think he's got a lot of value right now.
True.
That's crazy. What a ride for the unicorn.
Any others? Miami going to make a move with how bad they've been playing?
Maybe they trade for Depot.
They-
But probably
they make-
not. Depot's just going to come in for agency.
Definitely a possibility.
I don't. Miami though, like they're not at full strength.
Yeah,
Like-
they've been on and off for a while. Jimmy Butler missed a lot of time.
Yep.
I think Hero missed a little bit of time. So yeah, they've lost Myers Leonard now for the season, which
Yeah,
you wouldn't think would be that big of a deal, but he played a lot for them in the regular season last year.
I fully expect them to still make the playoffs in the East, though. I think they'll get it together at some point. I think they're way more likely to get it together than the Rockets are.
Fair.
That's fair.
I'll buy that.
Speaking of Depot, what about Depot on the Mavericks next to Luka?
I like that a lot.
That'd be very fun.
It would be.
I do like that.
I think I sent this in the Slack last night. Do you guys feel like Luka is one of the most unathletic looking players in the NBA?
100%.
100%, yeah.
Do you guys follow the I Think You Should League Pass account? Oh, it's so good.
No.
Did you watch I Think You Should Leave on Netflix?
No,
No.
I didn't do that either.
Step 1, go watch that. Step 2, follow this account. Every single time that Luca does something, this account tweets a screenshot it's like a game show host, and he says, "Here comes Chunky." And every time Luca does anything, he tweets it.
It's
It makes me laugh every time.
That's terrible.
Pretty
Like,
good.
yeah, like he just looks like some random dude that can, and it's just like at the Y or whatever. That's like, oh, he's actually pretty okay. Then like he's got all the accessories. You're like, whatever, and he ends up being really good and
Then he
sinking every
snatches
shot.
your soul.
But I mean, he looks so unathletic. Like I'm not saying like the man needs to lose weight, but I'm just saying he could use a little more cardio.
I like it. You know, Kami, our representation matters, and seeing somebody with a dad bod in the NBA makes me feel seen.
Makes you feel seen. Is that what he said?
Yes, it is.
Gosh, man. Remember when he got drafted and Andre Iguodala said his mom was fine?
I do remember that. And he wasn't lying.
He said, "Mom's good."
On that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for checking out the Uncontested podcast. If you joined us live today for our early matinee episode, thank you. We appreciate you. Glad you guys hopped in. If you're listening to the podcast version, man, we appreciate you. Go drop that 5-star rating. Check us out. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So go subscribe or follow us at all of those places. We will be back with you guys again tomorrow night as the Thunder take on the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't remember who has that post game. Somebody does, though. Somebody will be podcasting about that game. So make sure you tune in for that. We will have you guys covered for every post game this week. So subscribe wherever you get your pods. Have a great week. If you're in Oklahoma, stay warm, man. It's going to get cold. Don't get cold.
Ooh,
Keep
I have
washing
the
your
game
hands. What'd you say?
tomorrow. I have the game tomorrow.
Oh, Taylor has the game tomorrow. There you go. You get to listen to Taylor talk about his grocery list tomorrow. So look forward to that. And he'll talk about his Chiefs as well. Yes. You guys have a great beginning of your week. Stay safe. Stay warm. We will talk to you guys Monday night after OKC versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Thunder up.
Go Chiefs.